Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that was a quick dos minutos. So we are back and we are now going to go deeper and really start setting ourselves apart from the mediocre many, joining the ranks of the elite few. So we talked about this idea of creating or becoming students, knowing our marketplace, answering questions that our ideal clients are asking. But in order for that to happen, we must know who our ideal client is. How do we start that? By choosing our niche. The first thing that I'm going to encourage you all to do, if you are, so you all can see my screen right now, I am going to copy this and put this link in the chat. This is going to be from HubSpot. I would love for you all to click that link, open that up now. It's going to help you create your ideal client avatar or your buyer persona. And what this means is that as you build your persona, you're going to go through and choose a name. The name for my persona is Mike Betterman. As I do this, I start understanding who my ideal client is, what they're going to look like, what their thoughts are, what their challenges are, what they need from me, how old are they, right? And so I'm going to show you all how we're going to get here in a moment, and then you'll understand why this is important. So I wanted you all to see this link first, because this is how the best of us, this is what we are going through in order to separate ourselves. But before we mess with HubSpot and building your ideal client avatar, you're probably asking, well, how do I know what their demographic traits are, or their highest degree or level of school that they've completed? All right, is anyone here using RPR? Are we familiar? Have we heard of RPR? Okay, so if we have, are we using RPR right now as for our CMAs, or what we call our professional opinions of value? CMAs or professional opinions of value. Is anyone here using RPR for the research piece? Are you all using RPR for research to tell you exactly who your ideal client is? If not, I want you all to lock in with me right here. This might change every part of your business and how you go about spending your marketing dollars and everything else. This is going to have an impact on your whole idea of the first impression that you're going to make with your ideal client. So research. Once you go to RPR, I'm going to encourage us to go to research and then do neighborhood search. Research and then do neighborhood search. For me, I'm going to choose one of the areas that I work, and I'm just going to hit this search button. Let's see if it is cooperating. Here we go. Let's try it one more time. And technology is... Okay, we're going to give that a quick moment. Actually, let me refresh. So we want to use the neighborhood search. Fort Lauderdale. Okay, this is going to tell me quickly everything I need to know so that I can build my ideal client, so I can build my avatar, okay, that buyer persona. It's telling me, yes, we care a little bit about this, about the market trends. Remember, list price to sales price ratio, month supply of inventory, median days on market. We see that from one thing. With this being my marketplace, do you all see why I would choose 316 as one of my zip codes? It doesn't have acreage, but what are all of the single family homes? They're waterfront. Okay, so this is how now I can learn about this marketplace as opposed to another marketplace, another geographic area. But here's where we want to spend our time. Is anyone here using this people section? Are you all using people right now or not? Or is this the first time you all are seeing this? I would love to know. And the reason I ask is because what we're about to look at, this is powerful, but it can be dangerous, okay? So I'm going to ask you all to use this information responsibly. Our Uncle Ben told our cousin Peter Parker, with great power comes great responsibility. So what we look at in the rest of RPR is very powerful, but we must use it as responsible professionals. So now that we know where to easily find information on month supply of inventory, list price to sales price ratio, and median days on market, now it doesn't matter which marketplace you're in. If I want to find out something about Tampa, or if I want to find out about Clearwater, Jacksonville, I come in and I type in the zip code or the city name, and guess what? I get that info. But here's what we want to look at first. Let's come to this people tab. Once we click on people, I want you all thinking in two ways at once. I introduced this idea of us creating our buyer persona. Why? It just says buyer. Buyer means our client. So it could be your seller or it could be a buyer. It could be your other agent that you want to cooperate with. Okay? So when you think of that persona, we call it ideal client avatar, the ICA. So I'm in 316. It's going to tell me education levels in the U.S. 4.7% of the population has less than a ninth grade education. In my zip code that I work, it's less than 1%. Let's keep going. Bachelor's degrees, professional degrees. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, I dress the way I dress. My first impression is so that I can be perceived as an expert to 18, 57, and 39% of the population. Right? So that I do not work with, or I do not appeal to this demographic here. If I did, I might wear shorts and a t-shirt. If I was looking to appeal to this demographic, an educational demographic, the way I speak would be different. The way I had my beard would be different. Okay? Population of children by age. I know that my demographic here in this zip code, there are not a lot of kids. There are hundreds of kids as opposed to tens of thousands of children. Why do I care? Because now I am not in my marketing having a lot of families with mom, dad, child, 2 or 3 children, middle school age children. I know that's not the case. Okay? Population by age group. We start to see, look at how many of the 54 plus in the age group in this zip code. I do not concern myself with the dealings of those who are under the age of 55. Why? Because it's not a good business practice for me. But this is where it's going to start telling us, how do we identify our ideal clients? Do you want to know why I seem like an expert in 316? Because I know what they care about and I care what they care about. I'm not talking about empty nesters. Why? Because most of my homeowners, my individuals that live there, don't have children. Okay? When we start looking at the household income brackets, I speak and I talk about things where the household income is greater than $150,000. In my business in 316, I am not concerned with the interest rates for a 30-year fixed FHA mortgage. Okay? Do you all start to see how now when we get the right information, we can say the right things, and now they're like, ooh, she gets me. He understands what I'm going through. He knows what my concerns are. When it comes to occupation, I know that they're going to be scientific, professional, and technical. Retail, trade. Look here, this healthcare and social assistance, only 583 individuals or household or individuals have those types of employment jobs. Okay? And so now I will not be using in my marketing piece pictures of individuals in scrubs or doctors. I'm going to come in and have them dressed like professional or business owners, entrepreneurs, some type of CEO level occupation. And so then also it's going to tell me what colors to use in my marketing, whether it's going to be blue or red. Okay? And so that's where I want you all to see this right here. This is the area I work. I want you all to see the zip code that I live. I live 2 blocks from the 316 zip code. 316 zip code was what? A buyer's market. Median sales price was $950,000. So I live right here. The waterfront properties are right over here. Here's what I want you all to see. Okay, and this is where you all are going to start putting some pieces together. Remember, education levels. Education level in my neighborhood for less than 9th grade is higher than the national average. When we talk about grad degrees, significantly lower than the U.S. average and the 316 average. For individuals in my neighborhood, I dress, I speak, I conduct myself like a weirdo. I am a pariah. I am abnormal. When we come down now, we saw hundreds of kids in 316. In 311, what do we see? Tens of thousands of kids. When we look at the age group here, larger age group below 55, then what do we see, ladies and gentlemen? Married without children, but what's the biggest deal? Single with children. Let's look at this household income. 6,900 households have less than $25,000 annual income. Many of them are single parents with kids. Why does that matter to me? Now, we're not judging. We don't have to like or dislike this information, but we have to know it. So now, as an expert, I know that if I am a marketing or real estate specialist in this area, I probably need to get familiar with down payment assistance programs. I have to know that if I'm going to be working with buyers or renters, I probably cannot schedule showings between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. Or I have to schedule my showings between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. or on the weekends. Why? Well, first, if they have kids, and they likely do, I probably can't expect them to get a babysitter. Why not? Do we see household income? Next question. Do I really schedule my buyer consultation or listing consultations during the week when they have to call off of work? Probably not. Maybe your Saturdays and Sundays are going to be your big days for doing business. Okay, so this is where we start looking at and identifying who our ideal client is, what's important to them, and then we're going to start asking the right questions. Therefore, we're going to be perceived as experts in their eyes. So let me go here. Right here under report. So that's just the research side of things. Hopefully you all have picked up 1 or 2 things that you can already implement. This next piece in RPR is under reports. So I need you all to come to RPR under reports. Under the commercial reports, we're going to go to trade area report. Under commercial reports, we're going to come to trade area report. And here's why we're going to go to trade area report. I am going to put in the 2 zip codes that I just did, and we're going to hit trade area report, and I'm just going to run that report for 311. I'm going to do the same thing for 316. Trade area report, and I am going to run this report. Here's what I want you all to see. Once we do these trade area reports, ladies and gentlemen, every time you swipe your debit card and you put in your zip code, this information, this big data, it is coming back. This is why there is a fight for that big data. NAR already has all of this information. We're going to look at this 316 trade area report. Remember, I live right here. This is the 316 zip code. And I want you all to pause me if you need to. But this is going to tell me what I, as a real estate professional, need to know and care about. First, median age for my zip code is 52. Median household income, we can see 89,000. RPR breaks this down into two tapestries, ladies and gentlemen. So the golden years and all of their characteristics, and the silver and gold. 33% and 25%. So almost 60% of this zip code falls into the senior styles, single family homes. Look at the household size, the median age between 53 and 64 years old. So Neil dresses like the grandson or the son these individuals wish they had. So everything I'm going to have conversations about, I'm going to be speaking to these individuals here about home ownership, ways that they can protect their homes. When we have inventory challenges, I don't have those inventory challenges. What do? I come in and I speak to an individual whose median home value is $480,000 or $450,000. That's waterfront. Why? They've owned the property for probably 25 or 30 years. It's on the water. I know these are home owners. So my business, waterfront, remember my specialty, waterfront single family or land. And so now I'm telling these individuals that have waterfront homes, 87% of whom are home owners, hey, are you ready to take advantage of this market? Why? We're going to move you to the next chapter of your life. I'm going to answer the questions. I'm going to speak in the way that they can understand. Active social lives, traveling. So when I started understanding what their goals are, I changed the name of my company. I changed my company's name to World Renowned Real Estate because I want my clients, my ideal client, thinking about me while they're traveling, while they're doing all of their activities. Avid readers. This is once again why I tell you all what? To dive in to some books. I know that my clientele, they're going to be readers, but here's where I want you all to start really understanding the power that we have and why it's easier now than ever to become an expert in this field and position yourself so that people come flocking to you. So, RPR, under this trade area report, yes, it's going to give us some information about who they are. So you might have, I have 4 different ideal client avatars, right? Based on this information here and some information that we would look at from that HubSpot. But I know that this piece right here, this market profile, is going to tell me exactly who my ideal client in 316 is, who my ideal client in Southwest Ranches is. If I was going to be in the Tampa area, I would know exactly where the affluent individuals are living, what their cares are, what they're doing on the weekends, and what their hobbies are. Why? Because RPR is telling me all of this. Leisure time is spent on sports, tennis, golf, boating, fishing. I'm doing all of those, okay? If we look at the next demographic here, and this is something I do want to point out to you all, that the U.S. household, less than 1%. In my zip code, 25%. So don't think that because the media is saying something, we still want to dive in and know what it is that we should care about. It talks about this market profile, especially golf and boating, right, for the silver and gold. So me, I picked up golf, making sure that I know about how to tie a yacht and cleats and all this stuff, right? So I can speak the language, okay? But here's what I want to do right now, just to show you the difference, because I believe that application is that important. I want to show you all the difference when we go back to this 311 zip code. We're going to now look at home ownership rates, 25%. Median net worth, we go from hundreds of thousands to 10,000. But now, when we look at the market profile, it does not talk about them being avid readers. What is it talking about? Baby and children's products like food are primary purchases. instead of the types of vehicles they drive, is telling us what? That the way they transport themselves is going to be with public transportation. So just right there with the trade area reports, that's where we dive in and get the information so that now we can start to build our persona. So it might be some college, bachelor's, master's, or professional degrees. And this is where I want you all to continue to work in. What industry do they work in? Don't forget that RPR gave us this information. So it might be professional. It might be healthcare. And so what it's going to do, everything that you do, is going to allow you to keep that avatar top of mind right there. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we continue? I know it is a lot and we're an hour in. We still have a lot to cover. And my goal is to give you all as much as possible, as quick as possible, so that you can start to dabble a little bit and so that after this you can start building a roadmap. Are we good so far? Any questions, comments, or concerns? Please drop those in the chat. I know I am speaking fast and covering a lot of content, but we have a lot of content to cover in the last hour. Anyone have anything, or can we continue? If we can't continue, just type in GO for go. All right, thank you so much, Christina. So I operate by a majority of one. That means that if one person responds in the affirmative, we're going to keep going. So here's what we have to do. Once we know more than everyone else, and this is going to be a challenge for you all in here, I guarantee. Once you know more than the competition, once you know list price to sales price ratio, month supply of inventory, days on market, once you know who your ideal client is, and you know, now don't forget, RPR information, valuable, powerful, we're going to play that close to our chest, all right? Once we know this, I have a responsibility and a challenge for you, and that is that you have to start telling people that you know more than they do. You, as an expert, have to share your expertise, your knowledge, your information, your know-how, that skill that you're honing. You have to tell people what you know. I don't doubt that many of you on this call right now, you all probably know more than I do. Right? And I say that with a smile because it is very likely, especially if you speak more than one language. You are probably better positioned as an expert. The only difference is I tell people that I know more than they know. Okay? So I need you to first get the information, study to show yourself approved. Secondly, tell people, hey, I'm pretty smart. I know this stuff. And that's a challenge. Why? Because we are here. If you're here for this class on this Tuesday, you are probably not egotistical. You're probably not thumping your chest and telling people to come look at you. I need you to. I need you to let the marketplace know. I need every buyer must know that if they don't use you, they paid too much or they expose themselves to some risk unnecessarily. I need every seller to know that if they don't market their properties with you, that they left money on the table and that they did not maximize their exposure to the marketplace. Okay? And the only way you can confidently and expertly communicate that is if you believe it yourself. So here's my question to you all. What's your competitive advantage in the marketplace? Do you know? Right? What is your competitive marketplace? Because every expert has a competitive advantage in the marketplace. I have two competitive advantages in the marketplace. One, I know more than everyone else. Now, is that true? Probably not. But I know where to get the information. I know how to use and disseminate the information that many of our colleagues are throwing away. All of us have access to RPR. All of us have access to NAR, Florida Realtors. We have access to all of these third-party sites. I just synthesize that information and I disseminate and share it better than others and faster than the competition. So that's one of my competitive advantages. My second competitive advantage is that I am not afraid of saying my opinion, sharing my opinion at the risk of being wrong. When people ask me, what is the market like? I have an opinion. When people ask me, what do I think is going to happen? I have an opinion. People will follow remember, we talked about experts and people perceiving you as better and different. People will follow confidence before they follow competence. So I need you to be competent, yes, right? That's why we looked at the Florida Realtors RPR, NAR. I want you to be competent. But more important than competence is confidence. And it is an onward circle. The more competent you are, the more confident you are, and that's going to increase your competence because you're going to want to continue to learn. So I need you to get competent first, but then really be confident that you know your stuff. So there are 4 R's that experts always exemplify. 4R, like the letter R. The first one is ready. You must always be ready to do business, to have a conversation, to interact with someone about real estate. Right now, if a multi-million-dollar buyer called you right now or bumped into you in the line at Starbucks or Panera Bread, would you be ready to do a buyer consultation with them right now? Would you be ready to own your phone, do a market analysis, look at a comparative, what we call a professional opinion of value? Would you know how to explain how you're compensated or not? Are you ready to discuss August 17th and the changes that are going to take place? If not, why not? If we're not ready right now, we are going to fail, because here's the worst thing that can happen to us as entrepreneurs, as business owners. The worst thing that can happen to us is for us to have an opportunity that we're ill prepared for. Because then guess what? If we have an opportunity and we fumble, stumble, and fail, our confidence begins to erode. And we then stop looking for opportunities. So the first one is ready. If you had a seller right now call you and say, hey, I want to market my property with you. Could you come over and do a professional opinion of value or a CMA? Can you do that? Would you know how to get information? Do you know how to arrive at a price and how to maximize the exposure of the property? If they said, well, do we have to offer cooperating compensation? Do you know how you're going to respond? So the first R is going to be ready. The second R is going to be resourceful. Resourceful means that you don't have to know everything, but you might better know where to get the information, or at least who to call if issues arrive or when you have questions. So you want to be ready, you want to be resourceful, and then that third R, especially now, we want to be resilient. How resilient are you in your business when the co-op agent or your broker or buyer or seller yell at you? Can you bounce back? When the inspection report comes back and it is horrible, how resilient can you be? When the deal falls through or your client cheats on you and leaves, are you going to be able to bounce back? Because we know that this thing that we're in, this industry, it is like a roller coaster. It's our responsibility to enjoy the lows while we help our client experience the highs, right? So we must enjoy the lows, they get to experience the highs, and vice versa. And then the last R, after we are ready, resourceful, resilient, we have to be remembered. Why do clients do repeat business with you? When you are not in the room, what's being said about you? What's your calling card? Why do they bring up your name? Are you remembered for positive things or for negative things? Is it because you really are the expert, or is it because she did nothing, he did nothing, I think that they were overpaid? And so we want to make sure that we are considering that. So here's what I must ask us, or here's what I want to continue to encourage us to do. We want to create raving fans. Experts create raving fans before their buyer or listing consultation. Ultimately, the whole idea of this book right here, Key Person of Influence, is for you to become the expert. Now, of the 3 that I would encourage today, this would be first, this would be second, and then we would do lead the field. So I would encourage you all to do key person of influence first, then excellence wins, and then that lead the field lastly. And so the reason I bring this up, everything you do is a reflection on you. Everything. So let me ask you, how are you packaged right now? Because the first sale that you must make when it comes to expert level, having an unfair share of the pie is the sale of yourself. So how are you packaged? When you all came on and saw me here, what if your first exposure experience with me, I was in a t-shirt that was dirty, that had holes in it, right? And then I came on to tell you that I specialize in working with affluent clientele and global buyers. You're going to say, I don't really believe it. So how are you packaged, right? And so we always want to be considered, be thoughtful, mindful of how we are packaged as a whole. And I'm not talking about just our physical appearance and our first experience with someone. I'm talking about the I'm talking about the entire package of our product, of our business. So I'm going to share some applicable things, show some examples of things that my coaches and mentors have shown me, and then maybe you can glean some of these ideas. First thing, here's what you must know. Good service, great service is no longer good enough, right? It is no longer good enough to have great service. To provide an outstanding service to your client or customer is no longer enough. Now we have to create an experience. Right? When McDonald's came and started delivering your food to your table with the latent TP, Chick-fil-A brings your food to the table, all of a sudden, delivery was not good enough. Now it has to have what? An experience. And so let me ask you, as a real estate professional, what type of experience do your buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, what do they get when they hire you? Is it something that they are going to remember, right? And so we have to make sure we are delivering exceptional service and memorable experience. So that's what we want to do. So our job is to know that our clients or customer base, they want to be wowed at every step. So you can't be good only at the closing table. Now we have to be good at initial consultation, first meeting. We want to make sure that we wow them when we are showing the property. Here's what that looks like. On your initial phone call, or even before your phone call, do you have a wow voicemail? When someone doesn't reach you on your phone, are they wowed by what your voicemail says? Mine says, it's a great day at World Renowned Real Estate. I'm currently exceeding the expectations of others. I would love for you to leave a message so I can exceed your expectations next, right? And so the first thing they say, hey, awesome voicemail. Call me back when you get this. That's all it says. Right? But have you thought about the entire process of how you're going to wow individuals at every part of the transaction? For buyers or sellers, I'm going to share a piece of the wow experience. So part of that is going to be with, first let me ask, are we using pre-marketing or like pre-listing books? Or any type of pre-listing advertising or pre-buyer books, right? Before we go into a buyer consultation. Are you all either physically or digitally getting something to your buyers or sellers to let them know what the process is going to be like working with you? Right? When someone sends a lead or when they respond to a lead form field and then say, hey, I'm interested in buying a house or I'm interested in selling. So these are just some quick ideas, some quick examples that's going to separate us from the competition, from the mediocre many, as I call them. So we looked at this part here. So we are no longer going to look at or deal with the ideal client avatar, but hopefully you all clicked this already. I want us to look at Shutterfly. Oh, session ended. Okay. So Shutterfly, I use Shutterfly for my buyer and seller books. And so my buyer and seller book is nothing more than a photo album that I have now printed out. So they cost me about 24 bucks a piece for sellers. My buyers cost me about 19 bucks a piece. But my seller book, it is a hard copy book where I am sending to I have them stored here at my house. I print off about 20 at a time. And so whenever someone contacts me interested in listing or marketing their properties, the first thing they're going to do is get one of these pre-marketing books. It's going to explain to them the entire marketing process. I'm going to let them know what's happening on the first appointment, second appointment, how we're going to price the home, talks about working for them, but then it gets into my brag book section where I'm going to tell them why they should hire me. It's going to have testimonials of past clients that I've worked with. It shows that I have positioned myself as an expert, and then it's going to give my designations, education, and my leadership. Why? Because I know these are the things, these are the questions that my affluent sellers and buyers are asking. They're not asking the number of sales I've done. They're asking how do I know that I can trust them? And then, or how do they know they can trust me? And then in here as well, I'm telling them thank you for the opportunity to serve. So that's just on Shutterfly. That's one quick example. The next piece that I would encourage you all to consider is, are you doing any type of newsletter? So for me, I do, once again, waterfront homes. And so is it consistent? Are you packaged the same way all day, every day? So that now I am not saying I am the expert on Broward County real estate. What I am saying, Broward County, 316 single family, waterfront, I know this stuff. And so now everything is speaking to the questions that my ideal clients have. And this is how we are perceived as experts. It's going to talk everything about what they care about. $10 million sales, inventory, and then ultimately it's going to have a call to action, and then how to decide your offer price in a seller's market, right? Because in one market it's buyer's market, seller's market. This is an example. And all of this is done simply using, and so it might be as simple as you all Issuu. Are you all familiar with Issuu? ISSUU.com. ISSUU.com. That is one of the things. I know Florida Realtors uses it sometimes. So I would encourage you all to use something like that for your digital newsletter. Couldn't remember. Digital newsletter. This is how we start to separate ourselves from the pack. Okay? Let's keep going. Here we go. I would like for us, there are 5 questions as you move towards expertise. 5 questions that we must answer, that our clients or customers are asking us. And I think we miss these questions a lot of time. And going forward, if we get the answer to these 5 questions, it's going to be easier for us to separate ourselves from the pack. First, what do you do? And it can't be, I sell homes. I'm a real estate agent. The question is, what do you do? So I don't know if you all saw on one of the early pages of my listing, my marketing book, what I do is I professionally market homes to the world and get them sold. So specifically, I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold. That's what I do. I professionally market single family homes to the world and get them sold. So that is simple enough for a 5-year-old to explain it to a 5-year-old. That's where expertise comes in. So that's the first question. What do you do? Second question, what makes you credible? What makes you credible? So we are now going to pause. Okay, so check this out. This one is not going to be, this one is not being recorded. I am going to tell you all what. I do have versions of this. I'm going to share my YouTube channel with you all. I've got 100 and something agent training videos, so you all can go in there. We speak specifically some on from A to D, be the expert. We have some that's just on luxury, some just on global, on an agent training playlist. And that's part of what we're going to talk about here, how you can position yourself as an expert. So you won't get this one specifically, but you will have access to everything that we're looking at, that we're going over. Okay? Thank you for asking that question, because I'm sure, like I said, this is a lot of info. What makes you credible? Ladies and gentlemen, you must become credible in this industry. And the way we become credible is not from social media posts, it is from social proof. Social proof. And here's where I'm going to show you all examples of social proof, and then I'm going to tell you how to get social proof in the next couple of days. Okay, so social proof examples are going to be right here. What makes me credible? When someone wants to work with me in real estate, I send them this link here. This has nothing to do with real estate. But because they see me in environments where I am teaching and talking about real estate, they will now say, this guy is credible. He has to be good at what he does. I also want you all to see the way that I am packaged is the same way every time. You all see that there is not going to be a lack or a letdown in the packaging of Neil Oates. Okay, so I want you all to start thinking, how can I be credible? The very first way is go to one of your local media sources. If you go to any of your local media sources, newspaper, television station, radio station, it does not matter. Go all the way down to the bottom of the page. Go all the way down to the bottom of the page, and almost every local media source is going to have a Contact Us tab. Before the pandemic, this Contact Us tab used to open up a form field or something of the such. Now, they are giving us direct email addresses, ladies and gentlemen. Direct email addresses to the editor-in-chief, to different sections of the newspaper or the organization. If you want to submit an idea or a press release, do a letter to the editor. All the information is right here. Now, this is for my local newspaper, but here's what I will tell you all. Reporters, journalists are looking for sources all day, every day. When the market stats information comes out on the 20th through the 22nd of every month, go through, write a quick blog post about that information, and what are you going to do? You're going to share that information here. If it's a press release, we're going to drop it in there, or a letter to the editor, because what's your job? Your job is not for someone to agree with your position. Your job is for you to have places that you can now be perceived as an expert. Are you all with me? This is the fact that I am published tells people, tells buyers, sellers, my colleagues that this guy is credible. Okay, so that's what we want to do. The first one, find a local source, go down to the Contact Us section. The next thing I'm going to encourage and implore you all to do is to go to canvasrebel.com. Canvasrebel.com. I'm going to put the link in the chat. Make sure you go to canvasrebel.com. Go ahead and click on that and open it up so that after we're done at 3, you'll be able to go there on your own. Canvasrebel.com, and you all are going to come to nominations right over here. Canvasrebel.com, and you're going to click on nominations. Neil, why would I do that? Because it's telling us we're always on the lookout for interesting and talented local creatives, professionals, entrepreneurs, and businesses. That is you, ladies and gentlemen. All you're going to do, put your information right here. Name, email, website. I want you all to see how well this works. Canvas Rebel owns Shout Out Miami. They own Voyage and then Canvas Rebel. Okay, so even though you are not in the Miami area, once you get featured in any of these, you now have content that says you are an expert. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. The individuals, the people that we want to work with, they are searching us before we search them. By the time that they have called or contacted us, they've already done their research. So we want to make sure that when they ask what makes us credible, that we have something that they can go back to. Okay, now I don't want you all worried about building something like this immediately. I just want you to maybe have links to information, right? So that now in your initial email that you send out to a lead response, you can say, well, here is a link to an article that was published about me. This is my home buyer or home seller newsletter that speaks to the questions that my ideal clients like yourself ask. Okay, and so this is what we start to do to position ourselves as credible. The next piece, are we okay so far? If we are okay, just type go. If we are okay, just type go in the chat for me, please. Thank you, Christina. Okay, the next piece, and this is where what we have to consider doing. Are you all utilizing video in your marketing right now, in your business building? If not, you have to use video. So Tony, I already told Romario that we're going to have a workaround for that. So we're going to make sure that they have the information. I'm going to show them some of it right now. So we have to utilize video, ladies and gentlemen. Here's why. Because we know that people work with individuals, companies that they know, like, and trust. There is no faster way to get people to know us, like us, and trust us than to use video. And I'm going to encourage everyone here to create a professional YouTube channel, period. Create a YouTube channel because YouTube is owned by Google, and this is going to always be a way for you to get in front of your clients, customers, prospects, those ideal individuals, other market leaders. So for me, I am always putting out content to real estate agents, to buyers and sellers, letting people see me in different lights. So all of this here is about my golf. Why am I talking about golf? Because remember, we talked about my ideal clients specializing or playing golf in their leisure time. My entrepreneurs, small business owners, the global real estate business, affluent individuals. All of this information here is intentional and on purpose. So some of the playlists, and so I am going to share, let me come in and I will share this one with us shortly. The agent training, if I don't see it, I'll get that out to you all a little bit later. But the agent training playlist. So agent training playlist has a few hundred videos in there. But also, what does it have? My testimonial videos, my business building, with me writing a book, everything that I have right here. Now, I just know that when it comes to the presentations and everything that I'm doing, I just share that with different individuals. You all will see my buyer playlist and my seller playlist. If I'm interviewing other individuals, me in the media, this is what's going to help me with different people. Send emails to them, and now I am perceived as an expert. Remember that market report information that we did, that we looked at from RPR, NAR, or from Florida Realtors. I'm just going in and I am recording, I'm reading this information talking about list price to sales price ratio, month supply of inventory, days on market, and then I am just sharing that out and pumping that out to my marketplace. This is what makes me credible. And it's not because of the information. It's because of the consistency and the longevity. They know that I've been here for 18 years. So they know that they can anticipate seeing me for at least a few more. Okay, and so this is why I believe that if you all are not utilizing video and having libraries and playlists, that it will be beneficial to you. So after we ask, what do you do? After they ask, what makes you credible? The next question is, how do you get paid? And I'm not talking about how do you make your money. I get paid by buying and selling real estate. No, how are you compensated? That question right now is more important than it has ever been in our industry. We must be able to articulate how we are paid by buyers, sellers in our marketplace. We are going to have some of our colleagues fall out of the industry because they are afraid to communicate how they are compensated. So I want to make sure that we know how we are getting paid. The next question, number 4, are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? Are you known, liked, and trusted in your industry? Now, I think oftentimes we think, well, we're all competitors here. But if you are not known, liked, and trusted in your industry, it is going to be hard for you to be perceived as an expert. The fastest way to be perceived as an expert and to be known, liked, and trusted in your industry. So I'm giving you all the stuff that my colleagues are not, right? I'm giving you all the truth that the people who are playing at the top levels, this is how they are playing. You all will see Tampa Realtor Magazine. Okay, I've been featured in there numerous times. But here's what I'm going to encourage you all to do. Find a service, find a product that you like. I love Florida Realtors Market Stats. I love it. I think that Dr. Brad O'Connor and his team do an amazing job, right? So what do? I come in and I start talking about how I use Florida Realtors Market Stats in my videos, and you all just saw me use them, and then I just tag Florida Realtors in everything that I do. When I was using Proxio Pro for international exposure, I just chose a product that I loved, and then I started telling everyone about it, right? And I would tag them in it. Same thing for what, ladies and gentlemen? RPR. Are you all starting to see if you can utilize something that is on a national level already? I'm not that smart, ladies and gentlemen. What I am is I am not afraid to take what all of us have access to. And then I would tell people, here's how I use RPR. I'm not using it just for a CMA. I'm going to call it a professional opinion of value, and then I'm going to use that trade area report so I can really narrow in on my ideal client without violating any fair housing. And so guess what? Now RPR features me. You go on RPR's website, I'm there, seen by 1.5 million realtors. And guess what that happens then? Now I'm getting referral business in real estate. Why? Because I'm known, liked, and trusted in the industry. So if you want to move to expert level quickly, start doing videos on YouTube. Okay? Make sure that you're leveraging everything we've talked about so far. Reach out and get published by some platform. The more platforms you're published by, the more we start to grow. And so now we start to see where maybe it started with real estate and speaking. Then this one here gets into me coaching and my coaching business and how much it earns a month. Why is this valuable now? Because now once agents see that I'm coaching as well and they can say, wait, this stuff really does work, guess what? Then remember that circle we talked about? Confidence, competence. Confidence, competence, right? And so that whole thing starts to self-fulfill itself. All right? So those are some of the pieces. Any questions, comments, or concerns before we go to the last question? So question number 5 is going to be the last question. If we are okay, just type go. If we're okay, just type go in the chat. Thank you so much, Christina and Romario. Here we go. So the last question, the first 4 are, what do you do? What makes you credible? How do you get paid? Are you known, liked, and trusted in the industry? And then the fifth question is going to be the icing on top. What else do you bring to the deal? What else do you bring to the deal? Because if I could choose, we've already mentioned that buyers and sellers, that our customers and clients want the best. If everything is even, they're going to ask, but what else can I get? What else do you bring to the deal, to the relationship, to the transaction? And if you cannot articulate that piece, you are not going to be seen as an expert. What else I bring to the deal is that I am known, liked, trusted, that I am the most knowledgeable individual. If you don't believe me, go to this site, and here's where you're going to see social proof. So when we come down, I'm going to ask you all to start building social proof pieces. So whether it's going to be the more, or let's see here. Yes, so start building social proof. Podcast. I am going to encourage you all to start podcasting. Now, it doesn't mean that you have to do anything else. And here's why I bring this up. In Key Person of Influence, it talks about how do you get published? How are you getting your ideas out there? Do we want to be where someone is reading our content on our blog post, right? We want to have the information out there where they will see us or hear us when it comes time for the video. We want them to hear us on the podcast, and that's going to be as easy as taking the information or the videos that you have on YouTube and just strip the sound off of it, okay? And then, what did I say my specialty is? Single family waterfront or acreage. But now, everything that I'm doing here on this podcast, I am answering the questions of who? The high-end, high net worth, affluent clientele, or the agents that they work with, right? Why? Because I'm now tips for networking with high net worth individuals. I'm interviewing different people, becoming the authority. It's all about leads. And so, how to be the, not a. So the same thing. And these are just 2 to 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen, right? Some of them might be 24, 35 minutes. So it's just all about how you repurpose everything that you are already doing. Okay, and that's going to be the biggest trick. That's what makes the experts the experts. We do something one time, our blog post, and then we're taking that blog post and turning it into a podcast. We're using it as the script for our YouTube videos. We're going to take excerpts from that, Christina, and that's going to be our social media shorts or our videos. So on social media, the fastest thing that we want to do is we have to get our face and our voice or the captions on social media. Photos are like, it's not like everything in social media is moving to video. Okay, so just consider that piece, and I would encourage you all to do that. Any questions, comments, or concerns? I do have a couple additional things that I want to share with you, some best practices, but I also want to make sure that I am addressing any questions that you all have. So I do want to do one more thing really quickly. Here, let's go back to RPR quickly. Under research and neighborhood search. Are you all using the script writer yet? Are you all using the script writer feature yet? So you can create a script. Here's why I ask. Remember, 316. I said the experts, we're using the one piece of information and we're using it in multiple ways. So we will write the blog, we'll record the video, take the sound off of the video. Now, it doesn't matter if Google finds the blog post, if they find the podcast or the YouTube video, maybe they're going to find the IG Reels or the stories or the shorts on YouTube. And then how do we get all of this? So right here, let me see here. Okay, so right here, Christina, good stuff. We're going to come to RPR, research, neighborhood search, put a zip code in or neighborhood. And for me, I only do single family. So I'm going to apply single family to all of this information. And now I'm going to hit create script. So my script, I always use professional tone. My audience is only going to be seller, and then I'm going to choose which of these. Typically, my mind, my bend is always to analyze metrics. That's just the way I'm wired. You might want to do a video script. A video script is going to be in-depth. It's going to tell you everything about the sound to use and what to say. So me, I would come in and do analyze metrics, and this is going to be exactly what I read during my YouTube video, and I'm going to copy and paste this. And what is this now? This is now my blog post. I'm going to choose an infographic or an image that I use Adobe Express or Adobe Spark now. You could use Canva. I'm just going to choose an image, drop it in there, and this is now my blog post. Okay? And I'm just reading this word for word. If you're going to do a social campaign, you could do that as well. And now you'll see that these bullet points or these numbered text could be different posts for different days. So number one, this might be my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday post right here. This is how we just take one piece of information. We do something one time, and now I have 7 or 8 pieces of content, and it looks like I'm everywhere having a cohesive message, and you all are trying to find different sources and put things together, piece it together, and I'm just beating you, right? Remember, the experts, the best, or the leaders are not the best. They are just consistently producing, creating, and getting stuff out there so that everywhere you look, I'm now there. If you see me on your IG Reels, then you see me on YouTube, then you see me on Google. If you Google my name because you're curious, how is he putting all this out? This is the way that the experts, this is the way that the leaders are doing it. This is not what they are telling us, right? These are the conversations that we're having behind closed doors. That's how I know how we think. I know that we are getting published by doing form-filled interviews. We are not speaking to anyone. In fact, a very close friend of mine who is not even in the real estate space, he is a saxophonist. I shared with him the idea of Shout Out to Miami or Canvas Rebel, and they published this information on him, right? So it is 4 pages of content. So now what happens? Anytime he wants to introduce himself to someone, he says, hey, this is me, right? You don't have to wonder. You don't have to be curious. This is who I am, right? Canvas Rebel does the exact same thing. So that's how I want you all to see. This is how we position ourselves as experts. Let's say you don't want to or can't afford right now to go through and do the books, the buyer book or the seller book. What if you did the Canvas Rebel interview and all you're doing is just filling out questions? You're submitting the photos to them, and then when the time comes, you actually pay the $13 to have these produced. In your buyer consultation or marketing consultation with sellers, you give this to them in addition to comps or relevant properties and sales. Now they're going to say, she knows what she's talking about. He is the real deal. And that's what else you're going to bring to the table. All right, any questions, comments, or concerns before we wrap up in the next 15 minutes? Anyone have anything that they want answered specifically before I share a couple of additional tips, techniques, tools that will help position yourself as the expert? Okay, so here we go. Provide a world-renowned experience from the first phone call. Have you considered the way you answer your phone? It's a great day at World-Renowned Real Estate. This is Neil. How can I exceed your expectations? I told you what my voicemail sounds like. That's how I answer the phone. What about your showing experience? When you show properties, if you are a buyer specialist, is it an experience every single time they go out? When you get to the door, before you open up the door, do you say something like I say? And as corny as it is, it's still an experience. Are you ready for what might be the first look at your brand new home? And then I open the door, and then I let them walk in. And then I know the path that they're going to take through the property. And then we get to the second property. And if the agent's there, or if it's a lockbox, I get there and I say, look at them. I say, are you ready for what might be your first look at your brand new home? And then we go through the process again. All the fanfare. By the time we get to the third or fourth listing, what are they saying? Yes, Neil, we're ready for what might be our first look at our brand new home. But it becomes memorable. Okay? And we have created an experience, because great service is no longer enough. Next thing, when it comes to being an expert, never, ever, ever promise anything you cannot deliver. We never want to promise anything we cannot deliver. We always under-promise and overproduce. We always under-promise, overproduce. So I know how good this class is going to be, how much information we're going to share. But I always under-promise and overproduce. I make sure that I give you more than you can possibly have or use in 2 hours' time. Why? Because I want you to say, man, there was added value. I made sure that I got the links to the websites and this and the YouTube channel. But there was still more that I could have done. Do more than you get paid to do. Jim Rohn, we call him Uncle Jim. Jim Rohn says, always do more than you get paid to do. Are you operating that way in your business on a daily basis? Or are you only doing what you're paid to do? If you always do more than you're paid to do, pretty soon you'll be paid more to do less. And so that's where we know that we've gone from a doer to a leader and an expert in our niche or in our field. And then, as I mentioned, we want to look the part all of the time. We don't have the luxury. We don't get the luxury of letting our guards down. We don't get to have a bad hair day, or a day where we're just tired, or a day that we don't care, because we never know when we are going to be auditioning for our next role. And that goes back to that first R. Always be ready. So our job is to maximize exposure. So we're not talking about location. We're talking about maximizing your exposure to the marketplace and everyone that you want to work with. Do your ideal clients know where to find you? Are you everywhere they are? Right? Are you in the locations that they spend time in? My hub for business is Panera Bread on 17th Avenue in the 316 zip code. Why? Because I know that I walk into Panera Bread at 10 o'clock on Monday dressed like this with my Norman Vincent Peale book or my W. Clement Stone, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, with my coffee mug. I know that if I do that, I'm going to be approached by 2 or 3 people every day. They're going to say, hey, young man, I like your bow tie. Or, have you read that before? My response is going to be a few dozen times. And then I'm going to ask them, what's your favorite characteristic or trait when it comes to Think and Grow Rich? Mine is the power of the mastermind. And then we start having conversations. Why do I do that? Because I've studied to show myself approved. I'm maximizing my exposure. Then, after that, I'm going to find out how I can get my face in front of them. I will send them a one-off video message. I'm going to encourage you all, when I say the power of video, this isn't everything. So Christina, you mentioned the social media piece, right? Your social media marketing. I tell everyone, we don't need more customers or leads. We need more friends, okay? And here's what I mean by that. If you are marketing, it could be, I don't know for sure, but you could be doing what everyone else is doing, and you mentioned that it feels that way. But what if on IG, on Facebook, instead of doing one-to-many broadcasts, what if you went one-to-one on connection? Something as simple as using Messenger or the DM for birthdays. And if it's Christina's birthday, I'm just going to record a message. Hey, Christina, just saw it was your birthday. Hope it was a great one. Take care. What do I know? I know Christina probably is not going to get another video birthday message. I know that if she does hear from someone, or if they put HBD or press 1 for happy birthday and it auto responds, I know that mine is not going to get lost in the mix. Don't forget that people do not care how much we know. They don't care how good we are. They only care if we can solve their problems, if we can give them an experience. So expertise right now is about information, but it is more so about the experience that people have when they interact with us. Could I have just put up slides on the screen right here and just told you all and just gave you a lot of links to go to? Absolutely. But the experience piece, I wanted you all to see that and experience it for yourselves. Why? Because now there's something different there. Now you're going to say, man, this guy really loved this deal. He really enjoys it. He showed me some practical ways that I could apply. The thing that I can go to Canvas Rebel and potentially, possibly be published in the next month, and now start to build this thing, to build my expertise. Showed me the script writer piece, or maybe it was the trade area report for RPR. So now I'm getting the competence piece up, and now I'm more confident. And so I encourage all of you to do that. And then, as I mentioned, talking about the blog posts and the videos and all of that, and even when it comes to the product, find a product that Greater Tampa uses, or Florida Realtors or NAR uses, and then become a spokesperson for that product. And I'm not talking about a paid spokesperson. I'm just saying find a way that you use it. Find something that you love about it and tell everyone you know that this thing makes a difference in my business. If you do that, the individuals, the companies, so I know the leaders and those who are over RPR personal, we've met, we get together, hang out at national conventions and events. Why? Because I love it and I believe that RPR has made a tremendous difference, not only in my business, but in the lives of those that I coach, that I work with, but then more importantly, my wife and my son. Because it allows me as an independent broker to compete with larger brokerages and firms and teams. So now, what does that mean? If I'm passionate about it, if I'm authentic with it, now I am seen as an expert, and it gives me a different platform. While I know many of you here are experts or want to be experts in real estate, I need you to be experts in exposure. Right? You all are good at this thing called real estate. Not enough people know it. Okay? It's not good enough to be good anymore. It's not good enough to be great at what you do anymore. Now you've got to be great, and you have to let people know where your greatness is, what you're great at. Because if you do that, then you'll have a multiplying effect, and you'll see that you're achieving much more faster. And here's what I challenge you all to do, since you all are hanging out with me this afternoon, is that I believe that everyone needs the services that we provide. And if they aren't working with experts like yourselves, then they are going to work with someone who's potentially going to put themselves and generations to come at risk. And I think that we have a responsibility to prevent that from happening. So I hope that the content that we shared here has been beneficial. So I am going to share a couple of additional resources for you so that you all can have them. And so I'm going to show, and the reason I'm sharing this with you, I want you all to see examples of what I am doing and how I'm using them. So I do a lot of scorecard marketing, right? Scorecard is you come in, you fill out a scorecard, and if it works, right? So this is, instead of the social media where I'm telling everyone what they need to know, or how to do things, I'm asking, hey, is your business positioned to grow? If it is, well, if you want to find out, take this scorecard. This is the equivalent of, so I use what's called the Score app. You all can use Google Forms. So the Score app is paid. It's a pay for service. For me, I use Score app. You could use Google Forms. Okay, and so I will show you all here. That is the link for this. And so all I'm doing is I'm coming in, and so you might ask a home seller, are you ready to capitalize on today's real estate market? Right, sellers, are you ready to capitalize on today's real estate market? You would ask them questions such as, do you know how much your home is worth? What was the last repair you had done or last renovation you had done on your home? Do you currently have a second property? Right? If you were to move, where would you move to? And then you could go through and answer or respond to those individuals as they give you that info. So for me, the one that I have is this one right here. This is one that I am asking in my coaching business. You'll see where once someone says, hey, I'm sort of interested, I will send them this right here. Are you a top real estate professional? And once they take this scorecard, it's going to give them results. And then I will know based on how they respond, okay, you might need to work on your marketing piece. Maybe it's going to be that you are not an expert in the field yet. Could it be that your marketing message and your image are disconnected, right? And so once we start knowing these bits of information, it really does make a huge difference in how we are perceived in the marketplace, and then how we can interact and have conversations with our ideal clients. Okay, it is 2:55. I know we covered a lot of information, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you found the information valuable, that you are going to take something, at least one thing. Here's what the ask is from me right now. My ask is that you take one thing and implement it. Start it in the next 24 hours to move you closer to being perceived as an expert. Studies show us that if you don't do one thing in 24 hours, the chances go down to almost less than 5% that you want to do anything at all. So if you don't do something in at least one thing in 24 hours, it's a 95% chance that you aren't going to do anything at all. So I would hate for us to just have spent or wasted our time here together today. Hopefully it has been an investment to your better future, your better business, and ultimately a better life for you and those that you love.